Welcome back, everyone. Well, the DOJ has proven time and time again just how politicized it has become. They've billed parents as domestic terrorists. They've turned a blind eye to violent Black Lives Matter protests while charging even the most peaceful marchers on January 6th. And now they have executed an unprecedented raid on a former sitting president's home. That's why Donald Trump requested the appointment of a special master to oversee this case, an unbiased third party who would cut through the FBI's politics and give him a fair shake. But today, a federal judge in Florida refused to rule on that request from the bench, instead opting to provide a written ruling in due course. Joining me now to explain what's next to 445 is partner at the Bianchi Law Group, Bob Bianchi. Bob, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Sure, Jen. Great to be here.
You know, I think most Americans can support Trump in the idea of having this special master, somebody there to also review the documents that are in the possession of the DOJ. But here we are a few weeks later. We saw that photo showing all those documents that they were just thrown about on the floor at Mar-a-Lago. So my question now is, as this judge is delaying this ruling, is it too late for that special master, or will there still be an impact if we do get it?
Yeah, great question, Jen. First of all, let's keep in mind that they filed this motion for a special master 2 weeks after about the execution of the search warrant. So the FBI think teams had already gone through all these documents. So you had a little bit of a late filing there. That said, the judge has already given a preliminary indication that she is willing to grant the special master. What was interesting in today's arguments was that the DOJ was arguing vociferously that typically you do this when there's only attorney-client communications, like what were occurring with Michael Cohen. But here, Trump's team is arguing it's that and executive privilege, which the DOJ pushed back greatly. So while the judge didn't issue a ruling from the bench immediately, her questioning clearly seemed to indicate that she was in favor of the special master, basically saying, what's the harm? In essence, the argument is the public will have confidence because this is a unique situation. Mr. Trump, former President Trump, can have confidence in it. And in the end, the FBI and the DOJ will still be able to do their work. So it would appear that she's going to write a written decision, but I think it's because she needs to take time on that executive privilege argument. But by all indications, she seems to be willing to grant that special master request.
Okay, because I was going to ask, it seems, really questionable. Why would you go ahead and delay when you're already behind on things, as you mentioned, 2 weeks behind that they actually requested the special master? So to see any further delay, it really seems like it would be pointless by then.
Well, I think it's because it's not a typical case. I think she wants to take her time to write a ruling because I anticipate if she does it on the basis of executive privilege, the Department of Justice is going to appeal that. And judges don't like to be appealed and lose, so they got to take their time to write their arguments down and make sure that the opinions are accurately depicted. Granted, but, typically speaking, when you don't have a major attorney-client privilege, special masters are not typically appointed. So this is a request that if she grants the Trump team this request, it would be a good win for them.
Well, let me ask you this. There is an op-ed going around right now, Bob. It's from Judge Andrew Napolitano. He's a former New Jersey Superior Court judge. And he's basically saying Trump is going to be indicted. He makes the argument that he'll be indicted for 3 crimes. He says removing and concealing national defense information, giving that information to those not legally entitled to possess it, and then third, obstruction of justice by failing to return that information to those entitled to retrieve it. Again, a lot of Americans upset hearing this, but there have been some in op-eds that are doubling down on this stance. Do you agree with Judge Napolitano?
Well, he laid out the elements of what an espionage and obstruction case would be. The question is, as a former prosecutor myself, you have discretion as to whether or not you want to go forward with a charge, especially somebody with a high-profile figure like the president. Some may bristle at that, saying, well, that person's being treated differently than every other ordinary American. But I think something that Judge Napolitano wrote in his opinion, and I know Judge Napolitano well from his days of being a judge and a commentator, is that I would advise the Trump team, the legal team, and respectfully the former president, to stop making comments in the media because they're saying things that are actually helping the government's case. For example, when you say those were my documents and I want them back, or when you say they weren't on the floor, they were in cartons, you're showing that element of knowledge, which as a former prosecutor is usually the hardest thing for us to prove. It's what somebody's intent was or what their knowledge is. So a lot of the wounds are kind of self-inflicted here, and I think that's what Judge Napolitano was getting at.
Let me ask you quickly, we've got less than a minute left, but Judge Cannon also agreed to unseal a more detailed inventory of the items that were seized by the FBI. Do you think this is something that could potentially help or hurt Trump? How does it go from here?
I think that so far, everything that's come out, I think that the filing was ill-advised to begin with, because it gives the government the opportunity now in the court of public opinion to put documents into the record, the public record, because they have to respond to a court filing. And some of that was not flattering, as we're talking about right now. I would suspect from reading the unredacted portions of that affidavit that the more the judge is going to release, I don't think the look is going to be good.
All right, Bob Bianchi, thank you so much for being here tonight. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you.